Our last speaker is Nina Mohanty, founder of the Blue Money. Through personal stories, she tries to present a different perspective of leadership innovation that serves a purpose and the true meaning of success. Thanks again to Natex for inviting her. Nina, the stage is yours.
Thank you for having me. First of all, kalispera. I'm learning. Thank you so much to TechFuse for having me here today to join you. My name is Nina Mohanty, and I'm very, very excited to be with you today. When Irina asked me to speak, I had no idea what to speak about because I don't feel that there's anything in my life worth sharing. Oh, this is clearly going to cause a lot of problems, so let's take it off. And so I thought, I'll tell you a story about me being an entrepreneur and how I am a reluctant entrepreneur. So, to begin with understanding who I am as Nina Mohanty, we have to actually go back in time and learn about my family and my roots. So I was actually born in the Silicon Valley. There's been a lot of mention of Silicon Valley today and the tech ecosystem in the Silicon Valley and how it's good or maybe not good or different than what we have here in Europe. But I was born there, and my parents were immigrants. So my father is from India, this handsome gentleman over here, and my mother is from Taiwan. And they came to the US in the 1980s to study. They studied to be engineers because they heard that in this place called California, they're looking for engineers. And so off they went. And they started to work at the businesses that today you might know as Hewlett-Packard, or FireEye, or Cisco, and were very much what I call the tech OGs. Yes? They met there, and actually, my mother interviewed my father for the job, which tells you a lot about me. And they got married and had me. And this is the story of me and where it begins. As you can tell, coding and engineering from a very young age. Although actually this is not true, because unlike the rest of my family, including my parents and my brother and all my cousins, I am not an engineer. I am the black sheep of the family. And I was very much expected as the child of immigrants to be two things. When you're the child of Asian immigrants, you can either be a lawyer or a doctor. I don't know if that's true here. Same in Greece, fantastic. So we are very much the same. We're always late, and you can be a doctor or a lawyer, fantastic. And so those were my options, and instead of doing either of those things, I decided to go work for the US government. Many people in my life think I'm a spy. I'm not, I promise, but that's what a spy might say. I actually started my career working for the US government at the US Embassy in London under the Obama administration. It was a very interesting place to work. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about bureaucracy and what I did not want to do for the rest of my life. But I got some pretty cool pictures with a bunch of Marines. From that point, I think we did what we all do when we're young, or not young, and decided to completely pivot my career and fell into this world of a thing called fintech, financial technology, which seems to be very popular at this conference today. I say fell into because I didn't know what fintech was. I still don't really know, honestly, and I'm a fintech founder. But I fell into this world of fintech because literally the only company that would hire me was MasterCard, literally only. And so I got to do some very cool things at MasterCard at a time when Monzo was Mondo and Revolut was just starting out. They had just raised their seed round, and N26 had just launched, and Bunk was an idea. It was a very exciting time to be at the center of it all. And for me, as someone from the Silicon Valley, I consider myself a tech skeptic. I think a lot of people, especially today, believe that tech will save us, that tech is the silver bullet that will fix everything. Unfortunately, I don't agree. But I do believe that tech can do a lot to help us save ourselves. And when I was at MasterCard, I really, really opened my eyes to this opportunity for people to use technology to make the average person's life better, which is something that Nikki just shared with us, of course, with Snappy. So from that point on, it was what the French call a coup de foudre, struck by lightning, fell in love at first sight, and I got to go then work at Starling Bank and launch the first current account that's profitable in the UK. I got to go create some of the first open banking transactions in the world at Bud, and I got to go help lots of young women get into debt at Klarna. Sorry about that. But this is to say that I build financial products. I love fintech. I build regulated products. It's what I do best. And I always thought to myself, this is what you're good at. You're what we call today an operator. Yes? I was very good at taking someone else's vision and executing upon it. I was very good at saying, what do you need? Where do you want to go? And I will get you there. What I never, ever, ever thought was that I would be the one to set the vision. Hence the reluctant founder. Now, this is a very interesting slide. This has become a scrapbook of my life, this slide. Borrowing from Michelle Obama's book, becoming a founder was the strangest experience I've ever encountered. And this actually is lucky that we were all locked up during the pandemic and we had Zoom because someone took this screenshot on a call. And what they actually caught in this screenshot is my bedroom wall during the pandemic. As you can see, I love Post-it notes. Nectarios knows. I love Post-it notes. This was the view every morning. That's my foot. When I woke up in the morning, every morning, this is what I saw. I had just moved back from the US from working at Klarna, and I'd moved back to London. I had 2 months, and then all of a sudden, we went into lockdown. So I had no art, I had no furniture, but I had Post-it notes. Now, I mentioned my parents are immigrants, and I became very, very, very obsessed with trying to understand why isn't anyone building anything new for immigrant communities? There are 1.5 million ways to send money home, away. But what really started to bother me is why isn't anyone building anything for immigrants to build wealth where they are? And so I went down this very colorful rabbit hole to try and figure out the answer to that question. And I spoke to anyone that would speak to me. I mean, literally anyone that would speak to me. I spoke to nurses on their breaks. I spoke to Deliveroo and Uber Eats drivers. I spoke to nurses. Literally, I was once sitting on a table being looked at by a doctor and 2 nurses, and I was laying there, and I said, right, so tell me, you're all immigrants. How do you manage your money? Literally anyone that would speak to me. And what I was trying to understand is, beyond this, which is 1,000,001 ways to send money home, who is building for the rest of it? And it turns out there's very few people out there building for it. Or if they are, they're in the United States. And so I went to, actually, my master's thesis advisor, and I said to him, Dr. Pepper, his name is actually Dr. Pepper, I have this idea. I think I'm going to do a research proposal for a PhD. And he looked at me, and he said, no, absolutely not. This is a business. You're the fintech expert. You tell me. This seems like a business. Why don't you go build it? And so I waffled, and I went back and forth with my now partner and my friends and everyone under the sun. And I don't know if you can actually read it, but a friend of mine said this. It says, I've wavered on doing a PhD or possibly actually building a solution, and I've decided to do it. And then here, parentheses, speaking completely frankly, I'm so scared. And I was. So Bloom was founded. And no one tells you what to do when you're a first-time founder. You know that you have this big, hairy problem that you want to solve. There's a lot you want to do, but no one actually tells you what to do next. And so I started to just piece things together. Let me test assumptions. Let me figure out what the problem actually is. On and on and on. And I'm very happy to say, to fast forward a bit, since then, we've come a very long way. So at Bloom Money, we build products for immigrant communities for them to build generational wealth. And we do that through our first product called Bloom Circles. And what's really interesting about this is a behavior that already exists all around the world. What we've done is digitize it. To date, we've raised over, actually, $1.5 million. Always fundraising, though, so if anyone wants to throw money at me, please let me know. I will be here afterwards. We're 7 team members. We have over 12,000 customers, and we've processed over £300,000 through these circles. So we're not as big as Revolut yet. We're not as big as Facebook. Probably a good thing, especially in the EU. But we're on our way. And so tonight, I wanted to share with you 3 things that I think that every founder must have in order to start. I didn't say successful, because we don't know. The jury's still out for me. And those 3 things are obsession, a village, and conviction. I will explain. Obsession. You remember the Post-it notes on my wall. I often get people asking me in my LinkedIn DMs saying, I'd love to talk to you about something. Can we go for coffee? I love coffee. I'm very happy to meet you for coffee. But people often say, I have this idea and I want to build something. And what I've started doing is asking them, what is the problem? What is the problem that you're obsessed with? What is the thing that is keeping you up at night? What is making it so that every morning you look at your wall and see Post-it notes, a sea of Post-it notes? What is the thing that you're so obsessed about that you actually quit your very well-paid job, despite everything your immigrant parents have told you not to do, to start your own business? And the reason that I say this is because entrepreneurship, turns out, is very, very hard. Shocker. I'll be referencing a lot of Nick Darius' earlier fireside chat from this morning. It's one of those things that no one can prepare you for. And you have to be obsessed with the problem. Because things change. People leave. Co-founders die. It's a very strange world to be in. Wars break out. The economy crashes. The White House becomes a Tesla parking lot. I don't know, right? Things happen. And therefore, you have to be obsessed with the problem. If tomorrow our customers tell us, Nina, we want you to sell feta cheese, then that is what we will do, if that is solving their problem, which apparently is a lack of feta cheese, right? And the reason I bring this up is because, actually, we've talked about the Valley of Death a lot today, actually. The Valley of Death is something that everyone goes through. But I would actually venture to edit this and say that along all of these steps, there are also other valleys of death that come along with building a startup, even through later stages. I say that we are here as Bloom. You are in the Valley of Death. We are in the Valley of Death together, all of us. And there are days when everything feels impossible. There are days when I wake up and I think, I would love to just go work for a bank right now. There are days when you don't want to have the stand-up, you don't want to do another investor meeting. There are days when you've had so many rejections from investors that you just need someone to literally shovel you off the floor and hand you a glass of wine and say, just keep going. And that is why it's also so important to have your village. And this is very much in line with everything Victoria said this morning. When I was raising our pre-seed round at Bloom, I got a lot of very good questions and a lot of, frankly, stupid questions. But the best question that I was asked was from a woman who, incidentally, is a social worker. And she asked me, Nina, what is your support system like? She is the only person that has ever asked me that question. She is an angel investor, investing alongside her husband, and she wanted to know, frankly, who do you have around you? What support system do you have around you to get you through what is sure to be a very difficult journey? And this is a question that I don't think we ask ourselves enough. You can see screenshots here, lots of tears. My God, have you seen such a beautiful founder in your life? A lot of tears and puffy eyes. Oh, this is me exhibiting at an event with a sprained ankle. I had it propped behind a banner so no one could see it, but I had sprained my ankle and I could not walk, but I still showed up to exhibit at the event. As you can see, I find myself just dropping the ball in my social and personal life. I feel like I'm an absent friend, a bad girlfriend, a bad daughter, etc., etc. I feel like I'm leading the team down, letting Drew down, letting all my friends down. This is something that I want to guess every founder goes through. Maybe not Adam Newman, but most of us will go through this. And so if you take the leap into entrepreneurship, I think it's worth asking, who is your support system? Who is in your village? Because for me, it's been friends, it's been my partner who literally did peel me up off the floor and give me a glass of wine and say, go do it again. It's my girlfriends who say, right, enough, we're going to Paris, I don't want to hear about work, let's not talk about work, turn off your Slack, turn off your email, I need you to just be here. These are the people that have kept me going. Our team members keep me going too, but there comes that responsibility of knowing you're responsible for payroll. So it's all about everyone around you. And your investors are there too, but guess what? They want to know about your return. And where is their money? And where is their money being spent? And so you need to make sure that the people around you who don't work for you or aren't sitting on your board are going to be your village. And lastly, I want to get through this so we can all go have some drinks and have dinner. The last thing you need is conviction. Nectarius asked me recently, how many last pushes have I had? And I tell myself constantly, this is the last push. This is the last push, and if it doesn't work out, I'll pack it up, I'll get a nice cushy job, and I'll ride off into the sunset. I've said that probably every month of every year since I founded Bloom. But the thing that keeps me going beyond my village is conviction. And this is also where the obsession part, they're all related, comes in. I'm so obsessed with the problem that I know our customer innately. I mean, I am our customer. My parents are my customer, or would have been if they had Bloom. And I have a very, very deep, profound conviction in what we are building. I didn't start Bloom to get rich quick. I mean, if that happens, that's great too. I'm going to buy a property here within the castle walls. But I'm not here to get rich quick. I founded Bloom because I knew it needed to exist in the world. And it's been great to have things like people messaging saying, I'm so happy you built Bloom. And it's so great to get awards, and it's great to get 5-star reviews, and it's really great when you name your company Bloom, so everywhere you go in springtime, you see it as a sign, because it says Bloom everywhere. It's fantastic, but you must have conviction. And so, I'll end on this so we can all adjourn for drinks. I never thought that I would be a founder. I still can't really believe that I am a founder to this day. It's a role I never thought I would step into, despite the fact that I grew up in the Silicon Valley. But I saw a problem that I felt obsessed with and that I knew I needed to solve deeply. And it's brought me to the brink of madness sometimes, and with lots of lack of sleep. You can't tell because of the makeup. But I believe in what we're building. And I think there are a lot of people out there who may have never considered themselves to be founders. There may be someone in this room that has a problem that they're obsessed with, that they can't stop thinking about, that they desperately want to solve. And I hope that you will have the conviction and the courage to do so, with all the fair warnings I've given you today. Because we are facing a very scary world at the moment. There are so many crises for us to work towards, problems to fix. And I do believe that if you have the courage to be a reluctant founder, perhaps we can save the world. What if? Thank you.
One big question.
Yes.
On the slide of the valley of death,
Yes.
why do you think there's no valley of death after the valley of death stage?
Oh, I do think there is.
Because I've been there.
Well, you would know better than I would. I think there is. I think. Yeah. I think that every entrepreneur has different valleys of death, always. And it doesn't matter how late stage you get, how mature, how many years, there are miniature valleys of death. I spoke to Romi Savova once. She's the founder of PensionBee, which is one of the first big fintech companies in the UK. And she took her company public on the London Stock Exchange. So one of like 10 women to do this, right? And she's been a very wonderful mentor to me. And I called her up and I said, Romi, can we speak? And this was at a moment where I went out to raise a seed round. It didn't go very well. All the wars, all the inflation, everything. And so I quickly retrenched and I went, right, okay, let's rethink this. What do we do? And I sat there with her on a Friday morning. I remember it very clearly. And there was no one else in the office because we have flexible work now. And she had her hair in a bun, and I had my hair in a dirty bun. And we sat there with really shitty Pret coffee. And I said, what am I going to do? This thing is like, oh, I can't raise enough money, blah, blah, blah. I feel like I'm in the valley of death, blah, blah. And she said, Nina, I've taken my company public. We're still constantly trying to figure out how to stay alive. Every moment of your journey, there is going to be another thing that's going to kill you. Today, it's how am I going to make payroll for you? Tomorrow, it's going to be, am I going to find enough people on my investor roadshow to go public, right? So I think you're entirely right. There are miniature valleys of death. I think the statistics is 95% drop off in the first one, though. I don't know about the rest. I've not done the math. Do you know?
No, but it constantly feels like there's another 95% every single time.
Oh, great, fantastic. So I'm never going to get to rest, is what you're telling me.
Θέλει κάποιος άλλος να ρωτήσει κάτι?
I don't bite.
Okay, I have a more personal question.
Yes.
Can you share with us a moment of collapse and how did you get over it? And it's a personal one. Sorry?
Yeah. Everyone needs you to sign a form before you go. No.
Because
Yes.
every time you have such kind of incident, then usually you have a trauma. And if you don't solve it, then, you know, it's an acceleration of traumas in your life.
Yes. There have been a lot of almost drop-dead moments. I think Nectarius is going to have to join me on stage to be my therapist as we go through this together. I think a very good example was that example I gave where I went to speak to Romy. I think for the past year and a half, each month I have wondered, where is payroll going to come from? It's not something I should say out loud, so shh, don't tell anyone. But I remember in December of 2023, we have a remote team across the UK. So we have brilliant talent everywhere, which I'm very happy about. And we would do these offsites where we would come together. And this time, they came down to London. It was our first one in London, because we like to see other parts of the UK. And we actually went to an awards ceremony that evening. But earlier in the day, I had to sit everyone down, and I had to say to them, listen, I have 2 months of runway left. I can pay you for 2 more months. And the conventional wisdom for startup founders is you never, ever, ever, ever tell anyone that you don't have money. But I have felt that I must treat our team like they are adults. And my reasoning was it was unfair of me to withhold that information from them. If I expect them to act as adults and do their job, then I also need to treat them as adults when talking about our finances as a business. And so I said to them, I have 2 more months of runway I can pay you. And so I'm telling you this because you can stick with us, and it's possible it all works out. Or, if you want to leave, I will do everything in my power to find you a soft landing. I will open up my network, which is fairly extensive, and we will find you someplace to work. And the shocking thing is not a single person left. Not a single person left. And these are underpaid, overworked startup team. In fact, I got a lot of people trying to poach them and trying to offer them double the cash for what they were being paid at the time, but not a single one of them left. And I think what really kept me going in that moment was a lot of the team saying to me, thank you for the integrity and the trust to share with us where we are as a business. I will never forget, and it makes me very emotional, our front-end engineer who said, I'm in it with you until we win or wind down. Oh, I'm gonna cry. And it was very emotional. And all the while, of course, I had been speaking to angel investors and funds and everything. And it gave me the strength that I needed to keep going. And the fantastic thing is, they're still with us. Our front-end engineer is coming up on year 3, which in the tech world, you're lucky if you get an engineer for 18 months to 24 months. So he's still with us. Most of our team have been with us for 2 years plus now. And it's one of those things where you feel like you're rummaging in the hat for another rabbit to pull out. But of course, it's not all magic. There has to be hard work that goes with it. So that's an example.
Thank you.
We've got a question over there. Or we can finish. I'm sweating.
That was the last one.
Last one. I'm sweating. I'm being grilled. It's like Dragon's Den.
So thank you very much for being at TechFuse. Really, really appreciate
me.
it. And it's an amazing talk as well. So if you could change one thing that would make your life easier, if you could go back and change one thing that would make your life easier now or through that journey up to now, what would that be?
Being born independently wealthy. No, I'm joking. Having a rich husband. No, I'm joking. Obviously, money helps. And I actually, on that note, I think there is also such a thing as having too much money. You see a lot of startups take big, big sums of cash and they can't make it work, so it goes either way. I think the thing that would have helped me from the start would have been to define a few words for myself in regards to this business. I wish the past me had written down my definition for Bloom of success and failure. And I wish that I had written down when to stop. I think these are very important things to write down, because success can be bringing your company public. Success can be touching 100,000 people's lives. It can be touching one person's life and changing their life. For me, success is not about money. It's not about, I mean, I have to buy my castle home, of course, so money is important, but it's more about the impact that we have and uncovering the economic force that is immigration.